Hello, Mojis! Shereen and I are back. If you didn't get enough of us yesterday, well, here we are today, making one of my favorites, Aloo Rasedar, which is a potato curry. It's actually probably, I don't know, arguably my favorite dish, but I've never actually made it. I've only worked with the original Moji, mother-in-law, and Shereen in making it. So I'm gonna try it today, making it from scratch, literally with the Moji Masala packet and the directions that we have on our website. So, and luckily Shereen's here. She'll certainly add her 2, 3, 4, 5 cents into this. She's an excellent cook, so it should go well. And we're here, as most of you, preparing for New Year's Eve. Today it'll be the 3 of us, everybody's sheltering in, and hope you and your family are staying sheltered and healthy, and wishing everybody Happy New Year. So, why don't I just get to it? By the way, first time I had this Aloo Rasedar, it was so good when they did the Moji Test Kitchen. I ate the entire 1.5 pounds of potatoes by myself. Yes, I had to run 6 miles for 3 days after that, each day, just to burn it off, but totally worth it. I think tomorrow, the next few days are going to be the very same thing. So, why don't we head over to the kitchen and
So Sanjay saying hi, Insha saying hi, my cousin.
Wow, so many people.
From
Hi.
Kashmir.
Yay, hello Kashmir. Kashmiris know how to make this.
Yes.
It's in your DNA. You don't even need to watch this video. And then as I get cooking, Shereen may come in and describe some of the spices that they put together to make this. So why don't you come join me over by the
So it's just all you need, potatoes. This is what's in our packet here. 10, well, minus the salt. The salt you do on your own. It all goes in at once, and we're headed over.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to heat the pan to super high, and I'm going to coat it with
Medium high.
Or medium high.
Not.
Okay, sorry. I thought
Sorry.
super high. No. Anyway, I'm going to use sunflower oil. We love sunflower oil. Prakash, Nourish, out in Costa Mesa. Hello. Yes. We are still using our sunflower oil because it does a very good job with heat. So we're going to just coat the pan a little bit. Not crazy, but just enough because you
need a good amount for the potatoes. So
yeah.
Don't. That's good. Yeah. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
It measures probably about 3 to 4 tablespoons to do the. To really well saute the potatoes. We're
going to wait about 20 seconds. Really let this oil heat up. And what we're doing now is we're as far as I understand it, is it's not like a hard fry, but it's sort of like a soft fry. So while this is heating up, I'm gonna run over here and grab the potatoes. You say potatoes, I say potatoes. Here they are. Okay. As you can tell, the point of Moji Masala is to make it super easy for anybody to cook Indian food. So being that all we need are the potatoes and the spices, I don't think it really gets that much easier. I mean, I'm sure Shereen will have some advice along the way, but trust me, it's literally that easy. And then furthermore, not only is the product easy, but the recipes have been condensed so that literally anybody, including me, can cook this stuff. And I mean, I can cook a couple things, the sweet masala, the chai, the oatmeal, and some of these things, the baked chicken and the fish, which is just a marinade. But some of these curries are not necessarily my forte, and if you gravitate into more difficult curries, for sure not. But with Moji Masala, makes it like super, super easy as long as I follow the directions, which most times I do.
Most times you
Let's
don't.
say most. Anyway, okay. So while I'm doing that, we're just gonna put these potatoes in. Yes, we peeled them. We cut them into cubes, and they're in here. I got my trusty little spoon. Oops, one jumped out, but that's okay. And we're just gonna continue to saute these on high heat until it's well browned on edges and light brown in the middle. Okay, so this is just gonna take some time. This might actually be a good time for Shereen to really describe some of the spices,
Sure,
and then come check with me in a minute or two.
So here's what's in our Aloo Rasedar. masala packet, which is right here. You're going to have some of what I call like the coarse spices. So the cumin seed, a whole black cardamom, a whole clove. This is my mother, my Moji's magic garam masala, which has about 8 different spices just right in there. Some fennel, fresh ground fennel seed, chili, red chili, Kashmiri red chili. So, you know, less acidic, a little less hot than a typical Indian chili. A little turmeric, mostly for color. Nice chunk of garlic powder and ginger powder. And then you add the salt. I put it on the plate here. It's not in the packet, but it's about a teaspoon of salt. Bring this over, and you got to keep those potatoes moving a little bit.
Potatoes will be moving, but I did learn a lesson. And if you want to keep your clothes clean and wearing an apron, because the oil will splat on all your clothes. So keep moving these around. Obviously, some of them are starting to brown. You can start to see. And really, there's no technique here other than just like moving them around and trying not to burn my fingers at the same time. We're going to do this for about 5 minutes. So while this is going on, why don't we tell you a little bit how we started Moji Masala. So Shireen and I were driving back from Moji's house, and we missed the food, and we had about 6 cartons of it in the back, and we were smelling up the car, and we usually would freeze it and then have it back. And we said, why don't we make this more? And we were like, yeah, and it was a Saturday. And then Sunday, we went over to Colustians, and we spent an hour in Colustians, and then we came home, and then we spent an hour grinding and measuring the spices, and then making the food. And next thing you know, it was like our entire day. Now, I love this food, and some meals are worth an entire day. You know, Irish, we meat potatoes, we put the meat in, and then some potatoes, and that's kind of good for us. It's not necessarily full day in the kitchen necessarily. And we did that, but it was just too much. It was just, not to mention, we had like 15 spices that we weren't going to use again until we decided, let's make Indian food again. So what we ended up doing was starting to think about like, wow, well, what if we could just take all these spices, put them in a simple pack, and it wouldn't even take up all of our shelf space, which was huge. We live in New York City. Generally, when in New York, we have small counter and shelf space. And also, we didn't, want to spend $100 on spices for one meal. So, Shireen, I really give Shireen and Moji the credit. They went into the test kitchen, and for 2 years, literally worked on coordinating the spices, and the quantity of the spices that would go into one pack, so we could make one pack, one dish, and then they simplified the technique and the recipe so that anybody could cook it. So if you open any French cooking, and obviously I did not go to the Culinary Institute of America or anything like this, but that anybody could basically cook it. And we did a ton of beta testing. Dinners at our house. Probably most of you who are on our Instagram probably came to one of them, because we know we have a lot of friends here. And in the beginning it was good, but then we would get some feedback, we changed some things, and a lot of people have a misnomer. I think that of everyone who Shireen mentioned earlier know this about Indian food, but it's a misnomer, at least it was for me before I spent so many years in India, which was that Indian food was hot, like spicy. You hear, oh my God, Indian food is so spicy. Well, it's flavorful spicy, not hot like jalapeno. South American and Mexican food has a lot of hot chilies. I find Indian food, authentic homemade Indian food, is just flavorful, and that's what people love about it. And then a lot of the other introduction in the West has come through England. Obviously, England and India have a very many century history. But the food that was coming to America was coming from, generally speaking, from England. And it was the English Indian food that was brought to the Western palate, which was really cream-based and heavy and the first thing people think is Indian buffet. And with me, that was my first introduction, but then I went to India. Now that's like the last way I think about Indian food. Now I think, okay, how can we do healthy Indian food? How delicious it is to have not just a community table, but 7-8 dishes on the table. And how can you do that without having to spend all day in the kitchen? So anyway, here we are, Moji Masala. We started this business about a year ago, and we just started selling online about a year ago. And what's amazing is how many people buy our product. They'll buy one, and then all of a sudden they buy like 6 packs of the very same thing. And it's great. It's really great because we feel that we're sort of getting to, participate in your, say weekly or monthly, let's say, table. And we take a lot of pride in that. We really, it means a lot to us when people write us and email us they've had some good food. So as you can see, back to the potatoes, they're really browning on all the ends. And as I say, I was right.
Yeah, and hold on.
Ah.
Just going to, you want to kind of move some of the outer edges might cook faster, so just take a minute to kind of maybe swap it around a bit, move some of the less cooked ones to the outer edge and more of the nicely well-cooked ones inside. You don't want them too burnt and they'll get too crispy rather than just sort of a solid texture. And
Yeah.
it's not a good mitt it's really an oven mitt.
What's that?
Can you hold it with that mitt?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, with my finger, the oil just was.
You're almost there.
So.
Yeah.
And we're almost there. And it's such a beautiful. I mean, who doesn't love potatoes? Like obviously, fried potatoes. And I think that's in every single culture. Every single cuisine has their own sort of fried potatoes. This dish is special. I don't know why. We should be making this like every other day. I mean, we make it at least once or twice a week, but I would eat this every day. And there's nothing else in it. There's no cream.
Okay, I think you're good here. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit.
No, off.
Completely off.
Just because.
That's fine. And I'm going to add just a splash of water so that the spices, so they don't burn. Okay. Just a splash, just to the top, not crazy, okay? And then, I'm going to take what would be the full packet. Generally speaking, you would just go like this, open it, and full packet. And instead, I'm going to add all these spices. Okay? This is the spice blend. You see the turmeric and the Kashmiri chili, the cumin, the coriander, the garam masala. It's all there. Ooh, this looks good. So let's move this, saute this around.
Really well coat it.
Really, really well cooked. And what I love about this, actually, the way we did it today, is that it's not going to be even. Great about Moji Masala is the taste is even on every bite. But sometimes when you don't blend the spice before you put it in, you kind of get an off, sort of uneven taste, which is kind of neat. But as you watch it, it's starting to...
and I just want to point out, we turn it off heat so you could take a minute to really kind of coat the potatoes. A really expert cook would just sort of put it in, coat it quickly and move on. And then, but if you don't do it quick enough, you can burn the spices. So we just kind of add this step, turn it off heat, get it really well coated. It looks beautiful. You don't want to get under too. You want to kind of just do like a mini show one. Yeah. Just want to kind of, and you don't want to overcook your potatoes. I was just showing the flip.
Yeah.
Because then they'll get mush. They'll turn to mush.
Yeah,
so I think we got a good, tender potato with a nice brown coat. Those are beautiful. Okay, I think we're ready to kind of get the heat back on.
Okay. So we're going to turn the heat on to medium. I'm going to add another splash of water. Just a splash, not crazy amount.
Yeah, that's good. Because now we want to just cook up the spices. The spices are raw. These are whole seeds. You grind them. If you just get a raw flavor, it doesn't taste good. You're basically toasting them, as JD's saying, opening them up. So you
Oh, it smells so good. Oh my goodness, if any of you were here, you would not be getting any of mine. Just kidding.
So usually JD eats the full 1.5 pounds
I would share.
on his own.
So
Sanjay's
good.
saying you could do a low-cal version in the oven.
Yeah, what's the low-cal version?
Just baking instead of frying.
Oh, yeah, I
So,
guess you could.
yeah, and we tried a lot of different variants. You can definitely do that. One of the big things for this dish, just by our own standard, is keeping the texture of the potato so it doesn't get mushy. We tried, so it's this one actually, Sanjay, it's a really good point. It took us so long, not because it's hard, but because we're like, how do we reduce the oil, but still get, the flavor and the texture. So we were getting the flavor, but the texture was getting very mushy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we used less oil, a couple tablespoons, really not much more oil than you would use.
To coat the pan, basically.
Yeah, to coat, for other dishes. Okay. But absolutely, if you want to avoid the oil, or an air fryer. People have done this in an air fryer and it works great.
But you should open up the spice first before you do that. So you need to have some kind of solution for that. So you can open it up with some oil for 30 seconds.
What he's saying is, you could, instead of frying the potato first, you could bake it and then do your. That's what he's saying.
Oh yeah, Sanjay, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Sanjay's a great cook, everybody. By the way, he does a lot of Sydney cuisine, so follow him. Okay, so now we're going to add 1.5 cups of water, and we're going to bring this water to a boil. So we're going to kind of braise it. So I'm going to move the heat to high, and as you can see from the pot, that you can see the spices. And then once the heat comes onto this and it starts to evaporate, the potato's just going to soak it all up.
We're going to simmer it with a lid on first.
Yeah. Where is the lid, by the way?
I think.
Go behind you. Excuse me.
But hold on, you have to bring it to a boil.
Yeah, after we bring it to boil. You can see that black cardamom gives you that smoky feeling, smoky taste to your tongue. Okay, and you can see it's starting.
So you see there's a lot of water here. We're going to simmer it so all that flavor, so the potatoes have softened up. Now we've added the water to really simmer these potatoes. The spices are going to just penetrate so nicely in there. And then we're going to cook off a lot of the excess water. It'll be like a nice thick curry, and that's where the flavor gets. If you don't cook off a lot of this excess water in the end, it'll be very diluted flavor.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I am not trained chef, obviously, and
You're a good cook, though.
I'm okay cook. I'm a kind of a hack in the kitchen. I do my best, whatever. But I can follow directions, and if I can follow these simple 3-4 instructions and make a delicious meal, I mean, this is taking us 15-20 minutes, maybe.
Get all your potatoes under the water, the ones that are sticking out, and then turn it to.
It's not fully boiled yet?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's like a gentle boil, not a big boil.
All right.
Gentle boil is good.
All right. Give it just another second. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to turn this off.
Not off.
Oh, where am I turning it?
Low.
Low. Okay. Lucky Shireen's here. Otherwise, you
Well,
will not be seeing the other restaurant. Okay.
And that's really it. I mean, we can show them. We can come back in a little bit and show them the end and show them what it should look like, so they don't have to wait for the simmering. But this is only about. You're gonna let this sit and simmer.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 to 10 minutes. It depends also on your heat source and how fast it's going. You check it in between, make sure nothing's sticking, not too much of the water is evaporated.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Once it simmers down, we're gonna cook it down, and we'll maybe come back at the end and show you what we've got.
Yeah, we will. In the meantime, Happy New Year, happy cooking. Bye. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it from here.
I don't want to delete it.